Hi, this is Ray Martinez. I want to do a special broadcast today in light of September 11th, 2001. Many years ago, it seems like, but yet it feels like it was yesterday. That morning when this tragedy happened in New York City, I happened to be the mayor of Fort Collins, Colorado. I was getting ready to go into the office and watching television, and on ABC I was watching this plane crash in progress, and then a second one. And I knew when I saw the second crash, this was intentional. It was not accidental. As I was paying close attention to the news and driving into work, I knew I had to do something to address the community. I think every mayor was thinking of this throughout the United States. I drove right to the radio station, and as I walked in, I remember watching the radio host watching me walk in, and he had this look, a little bit of a surprise, but was wondering why I was in the studio. And as I walked into the studio where he was broadcasting this news and what was happening in New York, and then other plane crashes, and then hearing the President of the United States call down every plane in the sky to land them all, take them all off the airway. As I approached the radio studio, I heard the announcer tell the audience, "I think the mayor has something to say." And I walked in and sat down, and as I spoke, I explained to the people that we don't all fully understand why this is happening, but I do know this, that we can trust our country and our people to protect us, our armed forces, our law enforcement, our emergency services. I had the utmost confidence that we would be doing the right thing as quickly as possible, and that I would assure them that such a tragedy would not be replicated, at least in our community. But we didn't know that for sure. But I wanted to cast assurance. Deep down inside, I was angry about what was going on. I couldn't believe that this country would be attacked on our own land. Still not knowing for a fact if that's what happened. But from my perspective, it seemed very evident. One of the things that I asked the community to do is to stand together because, as our logo says, together we are better. And we have to stand in solidarity and do what we can to help those as they call out for help and identify the needs from these various communities that have been impacted. After leaving the radio studio, I returned to my office and I was inundated with various phone calls and messages, and I was still struck with awe and even brought me to tears every once in a while. I called on the public to meet at City Hall at noon so we could meet for a community prayer. With such short notice, we had to have at least a couple of hundred people that showed up in the parking lot in front of City Hall, where I shared my points of view similar to what I said on the radio. And then we took a moment of silence and we prayed for our country. This seemed to be like the longest day of my life. This day never went by. I was called by the Catholic school that was right across from City Hall and asked if I would come over and help the students release white balloons in solidarity for our country and in prayer for the people who have suffered from such carnage. As I walked across the street, the students were all lined up around the fence outside the school. And one student that I walked by and said hello to her was probably a girl. She looked like she might have been 7 years old. I looked at her, and I'll never forget her statement, which literally, emotionally made me break down. Of course, not in front of this little girl. But she said, "Mr. Mayor, there are a lot of people who are hurt over there, isn't there?" With a big question mark. And I said, "Yes, there are, and we're here to help them, and you're doing your part." And we walked away and released the balloons. I sat there and thought for a moment. I thought, this young girl at this age has no realization of how much carnage that there was, the suffering and the damage and the loss of life. But she did understand. People are hurt. Today she must be about 30 years old, is what I'm going to guess. And I wonder what she thinks today of all the things that have happened, and even including to our modern day era of events. Her statement was simple, but very poignant and cut right through the heart. Let us remember September 11th as a day of reflection and a day that we all had hope in this country to pull together. Even the Congress and the United States Senate came together and prayed for our country. Highly unusual, but they did, and that is what we're supposed to do, is to pray for our country. You have a blessed day, and may God's peace go with you.